So somebody big could be missing out of this year's Elimination Chamber. I actually think it may be a little bit of a ruse by WWE, but we shall get into it because Smackdown was last night. I will say, considering it was the Smackdown after the Raw Rumble, there was nothing that made you go, oh my gosh, I can't believe it, which we did get on Raw between Roman Reigns and CM Punk. But thankfully, Drew McIntyre was able to address everything that had gone down. There was a little while there where WWE teased they weren't going to do that, but this is one of the benefits of a 3-hour Smackdown. You could have some fun in 2 segments. Eventually, we did get to Drew, but yeah, put your critical hats on, or your fun hats. That sounds like a euphemism, which it is not. Let's talk about Smackdown. Because yes, at the end of the show, after everything that happened, we got told it's going to be Sami Zayn versus Jacob Fatu versus Cody Rhodes in the Elimination Chamber qualifying match. Now, I would imagine most people assumed they were all going to be in it. I have a funny feeling they will, but it ties into all the other stuff that we did. So Drew McIntyre comes out to cut a promo. Nope. Cody Rhodes cuts him off, does some, what can we refer to it as? Groinal chat, you know. If you don't know, don't worry about it. But that's what he thinks CM Punk and Roman Reigns were doing on Raw. They were just willy-waving, to use a better term. Tells Drew McIntyre, you threw me out of the Raw Rumble. Here I am back in Atlanta, my hometown, where I was born without the championship. I'm going to win the Elimination Chamber, and I'm going to take on you at WrestleMania. And that probably is what's going to happen. It's going to be night 1. However, Drew McIntyre later on tries to cut his promo again. This time, Jacob Fatu beats him up, because he still thinks that Drew McIntyre is the guy that beat him up back in 2025 to take him out. So Drew has to go away again, and after both of these incidences, Nick Aldis is like, Cody, you have to leave. Jacob Fatu, you have to leave. However, you are going to beat an Elimination Chamber match. And then, yes, we found out it was Sami Zayn after Phoenix was like, Sami, I love you so much. It's such a shame you weren't able to do very well at the Raw Rumble. So he basically planted the seeds. Actually, Trick Williams could be involved in this as well, because he also interrupted Drew. Basically, when we got to Drew McIntyre's proper promo, he said to CM Punk and Roman Reigns, of course you're talking about me. Of course, Roman Reigns, you don't want to face me because you can't do it without your cousins, your family. I'd absolutely kill you, is what he said. And CM Punk, you're fragile, and, when you interact with me, your stock goes up, so you're running scared, you're all sociopaths, you're all crazy. That's all he needed to say, and he got it in there. Also defended Smackdown on the WWE title. He said this is the title. It's the San Martino title, the Hogan title, the Michaels title, the Bret Hart title, the Steve Austin title, not the Dusty Rhodes title, which I thought was quite quaint, and basically mugged off the fact they're fighting over the secondary world championship, and told the rest of the Smackdown roster, you better step up now. Them firing words. So it was good. I think it would have been better if Drew had somebody to interact with like Roman and Punk did, but instead we had Cody and Jacob beat him up. But that's when Trick came out. He didn't say much of note, although Drew did threaten to take his lemon pepper steppers and stick him up there his ass. So I never want to see that. Sounds terrible. It'd be an awful stipulation for a match, which got me pondering, is it going to be a 4-way at WrestleMania? Like, Trick needs to do something. We've hinted Trick versus Phoenix round 2, which I don't think is the most exciting booking ever. But I guess if you are going to do a night 1 main event, and you really don't want it to feel like Cody versus Drew 1-on-1 just because we've done it so many more times, and because you can get away more with that night 1 main event, as we saw last year, Roman versus Punk versus Seth Rollins, really fun, but no one really remembered that after the night 2 main event because a lot of people were down on the John Cena-Cody Rhodes match, whereas if you did do a 4-way, it didn't really click. You then get Roman versus CM Punk at the end of WrestleMania 42. You'd probably get the opposite response. Although I think, even though WWE does overtly rely on them, most multi-mans on big shows are pretty good, and sometimes they can be great. And also, I just think it would be good for perception, which is a strange thing to say. But if Trick Williams gets in there and Jacob Fatu gets in there, one, you could probably do a crazy title change if you want, and not pin Cody if you wanted to extend this longer, and if you wanted to protect him. But it's probably too early for Trick. But I think Jacob Fatu winning that belt, now that we're kind of getting the idea that Bron Breakker isn't going to, is not the worst idea. So let's say Roman Reigns comes out of WrestleMania as the world champion. If the other guy is Jacob Fatu, that's a fascinating scenario for WWE, and it makes it feel fresh. But yeah, going back to the title of the video, I don't actually think WWE is being honest here, because here is my hot take when it does come to Cody Rhodes versus Jacob Fatu versus Sami Zayn in that Elimination Chamber, which, by the way, fair play to WWE, that's a damn good match. As soon as they announced it, I was like, well, I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen. Although I still came up with something. Because I think the 6 names in the Elimination Chamber are actually going to be, this is going to sound ridiculous at first, Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn, Jacob Fatu. What are we talking about? I think Trick Williams will get in there. We know that Randy Orton is going to get in there. Don't think there was another EC qualifying match for the men on this show. Now I say that out loud. And the last person should be Royce Keys / Powerhouse Hobbs. Major mistake by WWE for not putting him on this show. It doesn't matter. It's early days and he has, years and years to get this over. But it's like when anybody debuts. When Cody re-debuted at WrestleMania, when, mean, somebody else must have come in the Royal Rumble recently that I can't think of. You want to see them the following week. It just stands to reason. Doesn't mean he's buried, doesn't mean it's the end, doesn't mean he's made a terrible decision going to WWE. To me, it's just a faux pas, especially when SmackDown is 3 hours, and it doesn't need to be 3 hours long. Maybe there was a video reference to him, I didn't see it, so he felt like persona non grata. That was a mistake. But I actually think he's going to run in next week and destroy all of these guys. He's going to beat up Cody, beat up Sammy, beat up Jacob for 2. We won't get a winner, and because Nick Aldis is a hothead, he'll go, I can't believe you did that. And your punishment is you potentially get to fight for the World Championship at WrestleMania. And then whoever doesn't win here, maybe they spin off into a program with Royce Keys. Maybe it's Randy Orton versus Royce Keys at WrestleMania. I very much doubt it, although I'm intrigued what we're going to do with him. But that is what I can see happening, just because I don't think you're going to sneak some Raw guys in there in the past WWE. If the Raw guy, Roman Reigns in this case, picks the Raw champion, CM Punk, usually what happens is a bunch of SmackDown guys go into the Elimination Chamber because they're still pretending the brand split is real. So they would be my 6. I've got nothing against it either, because I think either Cody or Jacob will win it, and then again, they'll still both get into the title match. At the very least, it will be a 3-way, and Trick Williams could take on Randy Orton at WrestleMania, which would also be a very interesting match. Don't know what WWE is doing with Randy Orton. He said he wanted the championship, which is tied to what he's doing now, but it does feel a bit lackluster. But you may notice one name I haven't put in there. Well, 2 names really. Gunther would be one. And then the reason I do mention him is because there is another guy who had the best segment on SmackDown for maybe ages, and he shouldn't be in the chamber, because unless he's winning, I don't ever want to see him lose. And that's Obar Femi. Now, shout out to Kit Wilson as well, who came out here and did the toxic gimmick. We got to turn him babyface. People were chanting toxic. People loved it. At one point, he called people in the crowd toxic. They went, yeah, we want to be toxic. I thought this was so much better than Raw because we allowed Kit Wilson to big it up, right? Whether we like him or not, because of course we do, he was still being obnoxious. He was still being over the top. So when he challenged anybody from the Royal Rumble and the lights went green and the crowd popped before he even got Obar Femi's music, and out came Obar Femi doing his work, doing his walk, just being the guy. Of course, he then destroyed Kit Wilson in a match, gives him some power bombs, 1, 2, 3, and then he left. It just worked, and it was just awesome. And sometimes it's not even about booking or who this person is or what you want to do with them. It's just a feeling. I know that sounds stupid. We did a video on this a few months ago now. Sometimes people just turn up, and you get occasions where the entire fan base agrees with it, and you get other times where it's more specific to you, but both are good because you're the only person watching. What do you need to care about anybody else? But I think everybody's on the Obar Femi train because he's different. And again, the walk is so important. It's like having a good theme tune, having interesting ring gear. You need that one weird thing that you can only do in wrestling, which people then do around their house. So when LA Knight blew up and everyone was going, yeah, for ages. We'll get used to the walk eventually, but not for a long time. And that's why I'm glad he's not in these EC qualifying matches. I mean, WWE may do it, but he just should not be losing. And if he does take on Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, he has to win. The first time he goes after a world title, he has to win. I don't want to see Obar Femi beat, and I mean, not by shenanigans, not by DQ, not by countdown, not by distraction, interference, confusion, nothing until 2027 at the earliest. We keep calling it the Brock Lesnar push, and that would be somewhat ironic because, of course, he can go through Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, but he should destroy everyone. I didn't mind him throwing around the War Raiders on Raw, but it didn't feel as earned as this one. This felt like a lot of thought had been put into it, and also anything bad we do with the men's Raw tag team scene is not good because it's just in the floor right now. But my gosh, do I love Obar Femi. So don't put him in the Elimination Chamber unless he's going to win. If you want to pull a fast one and do Drew McIntyre versus Obar Femi and have Obar Femi win the belt, I'm not going to argue with you, but there is not even an inkling about that, so I doubt it is going to be true. So much fun. Obar Femi is the guy. Kit Wilson is setting himself up to have a job for life. Doesn't matter if he wins or loses. Kit Wilson, he'll come out next week and just go, I didn't lose. It was toxic masculinity, which is so dumb, but that's why it will work. I loved it. I thought it was awesome. It made me feel warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. And there's Obar Femi. I've been saying it on here for years. We don't cover NXT enough, so I probably didn't sort of get it in as much as I should. What a dude. And he's been the dude for 3 years, 4 years, whenever the hell he debuted. He's about to become the mega dude. I think he rocks. Speaking about the tag team division as well, we did get Io Sky and Rhea Ripley taking on Julia and Kiana James. Julia took the pin. That's just a massive fumble, isn't it? Let's use that word. It's fumble, the brand new wrestling word. We have to hit reset with Julia. You never know she was the US champion. She never does much of note. Not really exploded since she arrived on the main event scene, also the main roster scene. Not her fault, just been booked terribly. Conversely to that, Io and Rhea together are a fabulous tag team. They're now going to take on Nia Jax and Lash Legend, which is fine. I mean, maybe they can win it. I don't know. I think that the Nia Jax Lash Legend experiment project to get Lash on the main roster has kind of run out of steam already. I put Lash Legend in the singles division as fast as you could do. And we also had the other EC qualifier, which is Chelsea Green versus Tiffany Stratton versus, who the hell was it? Lash Legend. That's what I'm talking about, an idiot. Now, it was clear Lash wasn't going to win because everyone was going, oh my gosh, she was so great in the Royal Rumble. And she was quite literally throwing both of them around simultaneously. There was nothing wrong with this, but the only way I can ever explain it, and I always say this all the time, is it's a swing and a miss. Like, nothing wrong with it, but you watch and you go, meh, it was fine, it was okay, didn't really click with it though. I don't mind Tiffany Stratton winning, especially because they just came back at the Royal Rumble. But WWE is missing a trigger. They don't start doing more with Chelsea. And she did have the match won here after the coast to coast, but Nia Jax pulled her out the ring. But it's more than that. I'm not going to buy into all this Unreal stuff with Michael Hayes because it's unreal, and I don't think that's as up and up as they want you to believe it is. It's still a very entertaining show. But I'm still going off the booking that I'm seeing on screen. Absolutely, she is somebody you can put in any position and she can win and lose and it doesn't matter. But she's also mega over and getting cheers and people really like her. So I think eventually you should just give it a go. If that's the wrong thing to do and that actually takes away her momentum, which we've seen, before, some people do find their lane. But I think that's the case. I think Hurricane Helms or Shane Helms tweeted it out this week that she is a future world champion. And I agree. I think she could be the cornerstone of the division. She ticks all the boxes you would want. She knows what she's doing. I didn't think this match was particularly good, but it's a three-way that just had a few missteps. It's not the end of the world. It's not the worst match ever. That's just how I saw it. But we know Chelsea Green can have good matches. She's got the character. She's funny. She's over. And she's only going to get more over because people like her, because she has that connective tissue that you need as a WWE superstar. So I would do more with her. And also, when we're talking about the single women's championship division, I don't know what's going on. Because Liv Morgan comes out with Raquel. So instantly I melted down. But thankfully, after Liv was like, maybe I'll take on Stephanie, maybe I will take on Jade Cargill, Raquel grabbed that mic and said, I want to say something to you. We need to tease this because Liv's been terrible to her. Jade Cargill comes out, says to Liv Morgan, I'll murder you if you take me on at WrestleMania. And then Jordan Grace comes out and ultimately Nick Aldis made a tag team match. Why didn't Jade Cargill just walk away? Don't tell me she would have been fired. That's never been introduced into the story before. It was mad to see two people that have been at each other for the last month or so and haven't had a proper match all of a sudden be in a tag team match. You then had the exact same issue on both sides, because I'm going to get this wrong, but essentially miscommunication, Jade punted Jordan right in the face, and then miscommunication, Raquel punted Liv Morgan right in the face. That then allows Jordan Grace to get back up and use the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, surprise roll on Raquel Rodriguez, and that earned her a world title match next week against Jade. So what was the point of the Royal Rumble? Jordan Grace may as well not have been in the Royal Rumble. 5 days after the Royal Rumble, man, you can just have a match. She'd be like, why not waste my time? I put so much training into that. I was worried, I was anxious, I was nervous. I didn't know what I was going to do, I couldn't sleep. I really wanted to win that Royal Rumble so I could get to WrestleMania, and now here's your title shot, and nobody thinks she's going to win. And it would be weirder if she did, because Jade Cargill has defended that belt 0 times. And maybe that is meant to be part of the storyline, but WWE is not pushing that hard enough. The tag team match was fine. I just thought the setup was crazy. I didn't think you needed to team Jordan Grace and Jade Cargill together unless Jade was just going to bomb and be like, I'm not going to do anything with her. I'm the champ and also a bad guy. It's why you may want to put a Lash Legend in there. Or maybe you want to sort of rehab Julia and put her in there. And I love Jade. I think Jade gets way too much of a hard time. No one is as good as being Jade Cargill as Jade Cargill is. Same with Jordan Grace. She's absolutely fantastic. But I just don't think there's much to get excited about here. I would kind of compare it to the Shinsuke Nakamura Tama Tonga match. I flipping loved it based on the past and who they are. But I don't think WWE allowed to sort of get across to the audience why they should care, so they were quite quiet. Of course, Tama Tonga won that one. So there were some interesting decisions on Smackdown where I was like, I don't really know what. Well, I use the same term with Randy Orton. What direction are we going with here? What do you want me to take away with this? I don't know. Then in other areas is too much. We're still doing the MFDs versus the Wyatts. Solo Sikoa lost his family before the main event. Have I talked about that? Randy Orton won. He's going to the Elimination Chamber. It was perfectly fine. But he lost his family. And I can only presume that's because the Wyatt Six had cut into a video earlier and said, oh my gosh, you can only experience fear when you are all alone. It just doesn't need to do anything anymore. It just kind of feels like it came to its end of its tenure a week ago. And onwards, we continue to trot. So it's like, okay, I get this one, but what else could you possibly give me to keep me invested? And then there was the Johnny Gargano segment that I don't want to forget about. Johnny Gargano was on a box that said NXT. Candice LeRae asked the Machine Guns and Fraction to help. They said no. And he's going back to NXT? This kind of felt to me like Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae are out the door as well. But yeah, totally baffling. I don't know what we were trying to do there. Although I will say, out of nowhere, as a completely changed tack, The Miz versus Carmelo Hayes. What a surprisingly good match. I thought they gelled really well together. I thought the finish was great when Carmelo rolled out of the Skull Crushing finale, hit the first 48 for the 3. That's awesome too. He now has 2 finishing moves, and 9 times out of 10 they work. I think Miz may have hurt his nose, maybe even broken it after a super kick. That looked really bad, so I hope he's okay. But that US title sort of has some momentum to it. Obviously, it's going to go back to Melo and Ilya Dragunov, so we do need to throw some other people in there. I'd actually move Rusev across and try and, heat him up again in that situation. But the match was really fun, and I was pleasantly surprised. Kind of skipped away, going, oh yeah, I look forward to seeing that again. And that was about it for Smackdown. Do forgive me if I forgot about something, but I made about 42,000 videos today, and I've had 3 hours sleep after wrestling in Manchester last night, so my brain is a little bit fried. Obviously, the Elimination Chamber is the big focus. I do think there's going to be a ruse next week, but I think WWE will get away with it if they do ensure that, it feels like a big deal. And that match is a really, really good main event. It's one worth tuning in for. And I also think Drew McIntyre is going to be perfectly okay. I hope he has at least 2 more massive promo segments where he can go crazy. I also like the fact that we were selfless here. We made sure we got over Jacob for 2 at the expense of Drew. Cody Rhodes got his revenge at the expense of Drew. And even Trick Williams got a little bit of a rub from Drew McIntyre as well. And this was after 2 people had tried to mug him off on Monday. I still think Drew McIntyre is fine. He probably just needs to be sort of CM Punk levels of promo. The one he did tonight was good, but I think there's a bigger one in his locker that we know he can do, that he can dole out. He did say they were aura farming, which I thought was fantastic. He is super locked on to the internet, as is Cody Rhodes, given what he said about his groinal region. A decent episode of SmackDown with some great parts like Obar Femi, but otherwise I did find it a little bit, I don't say lackluster, too strong, but coming at the Royal Rumble. Maybe I expect a little bit more. At the same time, they're my expectations, so maybe that's on me. Please do let me know what your expectations were, though, because that's more important than mine. You can drop me a comment down there before you do click the video on the screen, which is me talking about Roman Reigns versus CM Punk, which I thought was an all-timer of a promo. Otherwise, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. If you go to grillermind.com/Simon right now and use the code Simon, you are going to get money off. Protein is back in stock, as is that super-duper crazy hardcore pre-workout. I'm not saying this to be your dad. It's called Lightning. Only take it if you really like stimulants. Otherwise, it's going to be way too much for you. However, you go to the gym or fit, you're probably the best session of your life. Come call me an idiot, Simon of 316. Otherwise, it is Cameo, TikTok, and Pro Wrestling Tees. Search for my name. I appreciate the support. I hope you have a good week. I will see you likely tomorrow.